Today we have a guest on the show that's a little bit different than a standard nutrition talk or exercise. I'm bringing on Michelle Schafer, who is a career coach in the city of Ottawa. And the reason why I'm bringing her on is because of my past experience of working with clients. And one of my experiences that I've actually had is that I worked with probably about 50 clients over my past 8 years, and we couldn't get them to the next level. They always felt like they had gut issues. They always felt lethargic. They felt depressed. They never had any motivation to do anything. And after just seeing them and meeting with them 3, 4, 5 times, maybe 6 times, you start getting into different conversations around their health. And one thing that popped up with those 50 clients is that they really disliked or hated their jobs. One of my clients, I remember, cried the whole time. And so I decided that I want to bring on Michelle to talk about what are options for people when they're in a scenario that their health is actually being impacted by their job that they do 8 to 10 hours per day, 40 to 45 hours per week, because we know that that can impact your health. I'm bringing on Michelle to talk about career coaching because it's something that I don't know a lot about. I've been thankful to find my calling early. I want to bring her on because she's also a mom. She's gone through transitions herself. She's done renovations to herself. She's coached many clients, and she's from Ottawa, right? Like, what kind of better combination can you have that? Michelle, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Harry. It's great to be here with you.
Just so everybody knows, me and Michelle have past history with each other. We've worked with each other. And so that's why I thought she would be a really good person to fit our kind of community of clients. Michelle, why don't you give us a little bit of a background of how you got into career coaching?
For sure. It's interesting. I mean, as a coach, I'm always interested in hearing about the stories of other people, specifically their career stories. And I've got my own career story as well. I got into coaching through career transitions. I was restructured twice from my job over the course of, about the last 18, 19 years. And each of those restructurings opened up a door for me simultaneously. When one door closed, another one opened, where I could reinvent myself and actually pursue a different career path. And it was a very good coach friend of mine that at the time, I guess about a year before my last restructuring, said to me, "Why haven't you ever gotten into coaching as a career?" And at the time, the timing wasn't right. But then when I lost my job for the second time, it just opened up that door to pursue it. And I realized I've actually been coaching people off the side of my desk in other jobs before. And it was chance now to really make it a career. And because I've had those transitional experiences where I've lost my job, I've been thrust into the job market quickly, I've needed to find something, I really wanted to be that conversation partner for other people and help them as they embark on their own transitions.
So you've been through it with your own experience. I always said that on the show. People who have gone through it are generally the best coaches, because when you're sitting with the client, you can really be compassionate, empathetic, and kind of close your eyes and think about all the things that's going through their mind because you've actually been in their shoes.
Absolutely.
So you got restructured, and then what did you work in?
My background actually was in learning and development. So I was designing training programs. I was working with different business partners to offer training solutions to them. I have a little bit of human resources in my background, a whole lot of customer service. In my background, I've actually had the chance to coach and develop teams of trainers. Most recently, I guess my last kind of paid professional experience before coaching was with the Canadian Cancer Society. And I was coaching and developing a team of volunteer trainers. So those experiences really helped me develop my coaching muscle in other jobs. And I decided, certainly when I lost my job the second time around, that I would explore coaching. And I say explore very intentionally. I talk about that a lot with my clients because it's not about jumping into a job search. It's not about making decisions really quickly. It's about slowing down that internal conversation and starting to think about what's really important to you. And working with people and developing them was something that was important to me. And the more I talked to other coaches, talking about their specialty and how they got educated and what coaching meant to them, I realized that that was like a second calling for me, that I really needed to follow that. I kind of went back to school, went and got a coaching certification and started my own business, which is something that if you had asked me 10 years ago, would I open up my own practice? I'd say, no way. I mean, I was always an employee of large national organizations. Doing something independently was never something that I had thought about, but certainly in line with coaching, that was something that did become a reality for me. I've been coaching now for like July will be 9 years, which is hard to believe, and supported many, many clients in their own transitional experiences since then. I would never look back. Like I don't look back and think, oh my gosh, I made the wrong decision. In fact, I joke with people and say, at age 46, I finally found what I was going to do when I grew up.
That was my next question was, were you plus 40 or under? So you were 46 years old, restructured twice out of what you went to school for. And then, so how many kids do you have at that point?
Let me see. At the time of the second transition, before I got into coaching, I had 2 boys. I mean, Cameron and Nathan, they were young at the time I went into coaching. It was a big decision to make.
The reason why I stress that is because obviously, as we go through the conversation, there are people who are going to be listening to this, who are going to be in that age category and are going to be saying to themselves, I've got the golden handcuffs at work. 15 years in, I've been there and I don't love what I do, but I'm almost there. Walk us through, what is a career coach? What do you do?
Sure. Sometimes it's easy not even to say what I do, but also to say what I don't do. Maybe I'll start there. What I don't do is I'm not prescriptive. I'm not going to say to somebody, here's a list of 10 positions you need to entertain. You need to explore these. You need to make sure that you transition into. It's not prescriptive like that. And I certainly am not going to say to somebody, you should do this or you should not do this, because that's giving advice. Coaching is not about giving advice. What coaching is about being, I like to say, like being a conversation partner for my clients. It's about creating a safe environment, a safe space for them to explore, to be able to share, to be able to try new things, to be able to, especially in the context of career, explore what their transferable skills are that can be applied to other roles. What are some things that are waiting backstage in their life that maybe they hadn't thought about trying, but maybe the time is now to be able to do that. I have a firm belief that my clients have the answers within them. And so my job as a career coach is really to help them access those answers. They mostly know what they need to do as a next step. They mostly know that, oh, I need to leave this job because it's making me sick, because I dread going into work on Mondays, because I'm calling in sick as well. But they need somebody to kind of like give them some structure and give them some activities to help them access those answers. And so that's what I do as well. I help them clarify their goals, what's important to them in a career, in life, in an organization. And then I help to create some structure around that, give them some activities, things to actually do that are very tangible, very practical, that are going to help them take those steps and move forward. A lot of times people come to me wondering, I'm not feeling energy in my work anymore. I really dread some of the things that I'm doing. What do I do next? How do I plan an exit? Or in some cases, it's not planning an exit. It's just exploring other opportunities within the same organization. I employ, kind of like you, like ask a lot of questions to help people reflect on what's important to them, which is really going to inform them taking their next steps.
Yeah, I always say that a good coach will ask you 50 questions and then piss you off because he's asking. All they do, they didn't answer any of your questions. It's just like, so what do you think about that? And what do you think about this? Because you're right. A lot of reasons to why we ask questions is because we don't know the answers. We need to ask you, and we need to develop the answers together. And we're the soundboard, and we are there not to judge, but we are there to observe what you're actually doing and saying. And then we're going to hold you accountable to those visions and thoughts that you're having. Let's keep going into that. What are some of the reasons that clients have come to see you? So if you think about the last 3 to 10 clients that have come to see you, what were their concerns or reasons for hiring you as a career coach?
Yeah, for sure. There's certainly a few varied reasons. I mean, one of the most common ones is somebody who has lost their job, maybe somebody who's been in the same position I have been, which is the company goes through big changes, their position is eliminated or restructured to the degree that it wouldn't be the same job anymore. Then they are needing a job quickly. So they're kind of thrust back in the job market with no support, no soft landing, not sure what to do. Those clients will come to me and say, hey, I need a new job and I need to find one relatively quickly. Help me out. They have a lot of questions around, where do I start? How do I look for work? Some people, when they've lost their job, maybe they haven't had to look for a job for more than 10 years. Maybe they haven't even written a resume in 20 years. I remember I had one client who came to me. He had no resume at all because he had been with the same organization for 25 to 30 years. They're coming to me needing a plan, like they have no idea where to start. That would be one of the common reasons why individuals come to me. They want to know, where do they look? How do they develop their resume? How do they start accessing opportunities? But of course, what to do next is a big question. I would say, though, over the last few years since the pandemic, a lot of my clients are gainfully employed. They have jobs. In some cases, they're very well-paying jobs. And through some reflection and realizing what's important to them, they realize that they're not enjoying their work anymore. In some cases, it may be that they're not enjoying working with their leader anymore, and they need to find something else. They feel like they've exhausted opportunities maybe within their organization, or maybe the environment is a toxic one and they need to get out, and they need to get out fast. So these are people who have jobs, could technically stay working at what they're doing, but are realizing that they're not happy. And the way that you're seeing it kind of in the clients that you're working with, maybe they're exhibiting some physical symptoms of illness in different ways. They also, similar to individuals who are thrust into the job market, they also need to have some kind of a plan and also need to do some work to figure out what is it that they want to do next. Maybe they don't want to do the same kind of work anymore. I work with some clients who come to me and they're senior leaders and they realize, I don't want to lead people anymore. I want to go back to being an individual contributor. How do I do that? Can I be an individual contributor at the same kind of salary level that what I'm making right now? Or some people say, I don't want to work for a profit organization anymore. I want to get into not-for-profit and make the bottom line be about people versus money. And they want a way to transition. They're coming to me knowing that they want to do something different. They're not really sure what it is. I will say to my clients, looking for work is like going on vacation. You need to have a plan. And that's what they're employing me for. They're needing to have some kind of structure. Some of these individuals have started looking for work and are getting nowhere. They're overwhelmed by the process. They are discouraged by it because they're not finding what it is that would be a good fit for them. The starting point with my clients is doing some kind of reflection. You can't start looking for work until you figure out, kind of thinking about vacation. You need to have a destination. You need to know what kind of path you're heading into. That's also what people will employ me for, is help me figure out what that destination is. Help me figure out what career path would be a really good fit for me. There's a lot of good starting places for people, but generally speaking, when they're coming to me, they're already a bit discouraged. They're already a bit frustrated. They're quite overwhelmed because they maybe don't fully understand what looking for work entails in 2024. They remember what looking for work was like back in 2005. And the landscape has changed. And the pandemic has really given people an opportunity to reflect as well, figure out what work gives you energy, what kind of work doesn't give you energy anymore, and the kind of organization that would be a good fit for you. When we do that kind of reflection, it can lead to some really fulfilling places career-wise.
You've said the word reflection 3, 4, 5 times. So what are some tools? No, because what I want to make sure
Very
that
good point.
People leave this podcast, I want them to ensure that they have some type of starting point.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that we, even as nutrition or trainers or any type of coaching, the first thing we want to know is, what's your vision? Right.
Yeah.
What are some of the tools that you use for clients to start create reflection? So for me, I do journaling. I like to go on walks, and I just like to think. And I find that when I'm working out or I find workout is my meditation. I don't have time to meditate. I like it, but I find during workouts, I can do that. What is your number one feedback resource for reflection that clients have said really helped them the most?
Totally. I mean, your listeners may be interested to know that I don't do any kind of assessment. I won't give you a questionnaire if you're working with me that spits out a whole lot of feedback.
Yeah.
But what I will give you is really 5 key questions that I will say to people. Reflect on these, like hit the pause button on everything, hit the pause button on your career, take a step back and reflect on these 5 things. So here they are. Number 1 is do some soul searching on the work that really fires you up and gives you energy. And I encourage my clients to be really specific, because sometimes people will come to me and say, well, I really like to help people. That's nice, but what is it about helping people that really fires you up? Like, are you somebody who believes strongly in customer service, like gaining a deep understanding of client needs and being able to refer solutions to them, for example? Like, be as specific as you can. Think about those times in your career. And it could be like 10 or 15 years back, but think about those times where you're really fired up and lit out about the work that you do. The second question is also do some reflection on what is work that I can do really well, I might be really skilled at, and maybe even sought after, that doesn't give me energy anymore. So like, I'll use myself as an example. I can write resumes really, really well. I've been told that I do a really great job. It's like my English degree at work when I'm writing resumes. But it sucks the life out of me, which is why now in my business, I will be very happy to refer people onto a great resume writer. It's not something that really lights me up. Doing reflection on that is really important. And then also reflecting on what kind of organization do you want to work with in terms of the mission, the mandate, the values of that organization, and especially making sure that that organization demonstrates their values, not just spitting out a lot on a website, but how are they actually treating employees, customers, community partners, all of that. The organization is question number 3. Question number 4 is, what kind of a team and a leader do you work best with? And thinking to, what's the best team you've ever worked with? What's the best leader that you've ever worked with in your whole career? What made them so awesome? What made that experience so memorable? Like vision, like create a vision for it, describe it, be really specific. That's question number 4. Number 5 is, what are your non-negotiables? The non-negotiables are the deal breakers. They are the things that you would walk away from a really great opportunity if those things were not present. Since the pandemic, the number 1 non-negotiable for people, surprisingly, is not salary. It's location. People wanting the flexibility to either work from home mostly, work in an office mostly, have the flexibility to sometimes be in an office, sometimes be at home. That's becoming a non-negotiable for people in terms of where they do their work. By reflecting on all those 5 questions, what I ask people to do is then, now you have an evaluation tool. You can, first of all, for people who are gainfully employed, hold up those reflections directly to what you're doing right now and where you are. See what's in line and what's not in line. That can be eye-opening for people. That will inform oftentimes what they decide to do next. When you're looking for work, you take those same reflections and you hold them up against different job opportunities that you're entertaining. Maybe it's an interview that you're going for. How does that opportunity stay in line with what's important to me, or again, what's out of alignment? By using those 5 questions, it can help people realize in some cases that the situation that they're in right now is maybe, why is it making them sick? Why is it causing them not to be fulfilled? But it can also help people make really informed choices at where they go next.
I think I'm going to use some of those for my next interview, that if I interview new staff, because those are great, right? It's just, is there an alignment from the get-go? Because we know our mission statement of what we want to do. So I look at that as, those are just me from my selfish perspective. Now, I'm going to ask a different question. What is the average age of your clients? Right?
It's a great question. I feel very grateful that I work in all demographics and in all sectors too. In fact, I think over the almost 9 years that I've been coaching, there hasn't been a sector that I haven't been in. It's like been government of all 3 levels: federal, provincial, municipal, financial services, not-for-profit, sport, music, all of them, right? But the same goes with demographics, is it's really like it's all over. So I would say over 25 For sure. Like I tend to not work with individuals who are like in university or high school. And I also work with individuals who are considering retirement. I mean, that's one of the things that I do even for some clients is help them plot what their retirement plan is. But everything in between, men and women, like it's really a combination. I would say like the youngest client that I worked with was somebody who graduated from university, was in the first year of looking for work and realizing, you know what? I don't even know what work really gives me energy. Like not having any experiences up until that point where they felt really good about the work that they were doing. And they realized, you know what? Like this is just not a way to live. Like there's a way to be better with your career and actually find a path that is more fulfilling. It's really interesting to see that spread.
And the reason why I asked that is because in my office last year, I had three females all over the age of 45 leave their jobs. High paying, good, successful people who have just been, now they set themselves up properly and they were in a situation where they said, you know what, I'm set up financially. My house is good. My family's in order. And this just doesn't light up my fire anymore. And I don't want to live to work. I want to work to live. And they just walked in and I'm like, and I said to my wife, I'm like, these are my heroes. Because I'm like, this is not just something that you do, right? You hear of the people saying, I walk in and they pull the Jerry Maguire, like, we're done. Have a good day, right? You hear of those.
It happens.
But the thing is that when you strategically plan it and you organize it, you just start to, like you said, reflect back on yourself. And I would say, once you know yourself, you'll start to realize a lot about you. But I said, the one thing about learning yourself is it's depressing because I went through it a lot and because you have to be alone and that's hard. But once you journal it all out, map it all out, put your vision board together and just map out who you are, what are the top 10 things that are important to you in your life, and you reconstruct it backwards, it actually gives you so much light and you feel like there's 25 pounds off your shoulders every day because you know who you are and what you want to do. And you're like, okay, this is what I am. This is who I am. This is what I've done. What are some of the things that you recommend for some of those clients in terms of health, right? So let's just now, obviously we know that mental health is going to be affected. And obviously you've gone through your transitions of health as well. What are 2 to 3 things that you recommend to them to help them in the reflection process, to help them learn about themselves? What are 3 health habits that you would recommend to them?
Oh, that's a good one. Because I mean, I have my own health habits, of course,
we'll ask you that
through the work that we're doing. But in terms of like career health and helping people really get to know themselves more, I mean, I recommend, first of all, take some time and just be still. Like it's really hard to reflect when we've got a million things going on. I oftentimes find for some clients after they've been on vacation, they come back and they have all these new learnings and these new reflections sitting on a dock in front of a lake or like whatever it is that you're doing, because you're actually like hitting the pause button on life and you're just taking some quiet times. I recommend to people like just be still, like and it might be uncomfortable to be still, but oftentimes the learnings come from the discomfort. So that would certainly be one thing. The second is talk to other people. Some people really feel stuck and they're not really clear about the value that they bring to their work. But as soon as you talk to other people have a really clear idea about what the value is that you bring. If you are reflecting and you're really stuck, like, I don't know what my skills are. I don't know what my strengths are. I mean, there's certainly lots of sources for that, like performance reviews and conversations with leaders, but ask people who know you professionally and ask, like, what would be 3 words that you would use to describe me and my work? And why? Give me an example to back each of those up. And that can just help to illuminate as well. The third is do some reading. Like you can get out of your own head and start to consume a lot of material that's around you. I recommend to clients, like, be on LinkedIn, like, because on LinkedIn, if you're following individuals, like follow me on LinkedIn, for example. I'm writing about career exploration and job searching all the time. The more that you read what other people are putting out, it can just prompt some inspiration and spark something. And you realize, oh yeah, I hadn't thought about that. Really use what's around you. And all of those sources can really help with that reflection a lot.
What is a book that you generally recommend to your clients?
There's a couple of them, actually. One that I have used before, and it actually helped me in my very first career transition. It helped me to do a lot of reflection. It's called Answering Your Call by John Schuster.
So I
And
bought
it can
that
be a
book.
hard.
I saw that you posted on your Facebook, and I
Yes.
bought it, but I just got it last week because I ordered it. It's a hard book to find, but I got it, and I'm about 50 pages in, so it's very interesting.
That's awesome. I mean, it prompts that reflection. Like, it's a worksheet kind of book where after every chapter, it's really causing you to think. And the purpose of that book is to think, kind of decade by decade over your life and things that you've done, things that are important to you, to kind of identify what a pattern is. How it helped me is I realized at the time of my first restructure, I was working for TD Bank at that time, and I'd been in financial services working for the bank for 18 years at the time I lost my job the first time. Reading that book helped me realize I have a very strong volunteer line. Like, I've been, like, I call myself a serial volunteer. I've been volunteering like it seems like forever. I can thank my parents for that. I wanted to parlay my career into not-for-profit, which uses volunteers to do the great work that they do. That book can really help to identify patterns, can kind of spark some inspiration. The other book that is a relatively newer one, it's by Carrie Twigg, Twigg, and it's called The Career Stories Method. And what that book does is it helps you come to terms with, back to my first reflection question, the work that gives you energy. Carrie walks you through like a questioning sequence, asks you to like write about 7 specific instances over the course of your career where you felt really fired up and lit up by the work that you were doing. What were you doing? What kind of skills did you use to be able to get those results or that success? And then kind of walks you through the process of what to do about it. I find when some clients are really stuck, I'll prescribe that book and say, check out this book and even some of the activities in there, because it can just get things moving. Now, I'm excited to share that I'm writing my own book right now too, which is going to be out in January. Awesome. Yay!
Well, we'll take a look for it. Now, in terms of your health, what are 3 things as a mom, an entrepreneur, you gave us your age, you do every day for your health that is non-negotiable?
Yeah. Number 1 for sure is eating in a very healthy way, making healthy choices, especially like heavy on like fruits and lean proteins and whole grains and things like that. I've adopted into my lifestyle. I mean, Harry, that in a large part is thanks to you and the work that we were doing, but they have given me results, not like even in terms of weight loss as much, although that was certainly a byproduct of doing that and continues to be, but it just gives you energy. It gives you the energy to continue with your day, starting at the very earliest part of the day. Healthy eating, number 1, focus on that for all of my meals and all of my snacks. Exercise and movement, number 2, I start off every day with either a strength class or going for a run. And on the weekends, I mean, this winter has been strange, but yes, I've been trying to get out and like snowshoe, ski. Actually, I didn't go skiing this year, but skating, hiking. In the summer, it's bike riding and hiking. Also incorporating the movement throughout the day. So yes, although I start my day like that, in between meetings, because I do a lot of my work virtually, I'm standing up, I'm walking around the house or getting out for a walk, like at lunch or anything like that. Those are definitely non-negotiable. They're important to my physical health, but they're important to my mental health as well. And I'd say the third one is, kind of continuing along with what we were talking about with reflection before. It's taking some quiet time for myself, whether it's in meditation, and I use the Calm app, but there's others that are free, like Insight Timer for people that don't want to pay a fee. But it just encourages that quiet, still time, or even taking a mindful moment. I lead group coaching circles as well as part of the work that I do on the leadership side of things. And before we start our group session, I'll do a mindfulness moment, and it's literally like a minute or 2 minutes that involves some kind of breath work and some kind of reflection as well, and combine the two. And I find those 3 habits are what just gives me my energy and certainly gets me through my day as well.
That's awesome. I'm glad to see you're still keeping up with that. I see on your Facebook that you're an avid hiker, and I know you go outside everywhere. So I know a couple
Yeah.
times I've asked you, where should I go for a hike? And you've given me some good places to go. Michelle, that was wonderful. That was a lot of insight. I didn't know anything about career coaching. I've never had to use the services. So for me, this was a good learning tool for me and good direction on where to send clients if they're in that kind of need of where they need to do that next level of reflection of what they do for service every day needs to be changed. How does one get a hold of you? What are all your handles? How does someone get a hold of you?
For sure. You can email me if you've got a question. If you're listening to this and you've got a question for me and you want to know more about how to construct a job search plan, where you need to be looking, all of that, you can reach me at michelle@mschafercoaching.ca directly. I encourage you, though, to follow me on LinkedIn. Right now, I'm posting a job search tip actually every single day. I think today was tip number 43 since earlier last month. Do follow me. I'm writing about these topics all the time, sharing tips that you can actually take into your own life. And you can follow me on Facebook as well. Michelle Schafer Coaching is my business name. I do have a business page. Feel free to reach out and access some of my learnings that way, or just go ahead and ask a question.
There you go. That was great. Well, thank you very much for sharing insight. Thank you for sharing about your past history. I feel like that's where people really get a chance to connect to. And I thank you for your time. This was great.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Harry.
Have a great day.